I watched Liam scale the fence, a blur of sun-faded shorts and preteen defiance, and felt a familiar dread coil in my stomach. Just 3 days ago, I'd installed that new combination lock on my pool gate, a heavy-duty brass thing that felt like a final, desperate line in the sand. But here he was, scaling it like a mountain goat. "What in the hell are you doing, Liam?" I called out, my voice tight with a frustration I'd learned to swallow. The boy froze, his hand midair over the latch, his face a perfect picture of bustedness. He muttered something under his breath, a sour, teenage sound. But then, as if on cue, I heard her. "Liam, what's wrong? What did you do to my son?" That was the opening line, the battle cry of my neighbor, Karen, as she stomped across the manicured grass separating our homes. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me." My shoulders slumped as she approached, her perfectly coiffed blonde bob bouncing with every indignant step. I felt the humid summer air thicken around us, a tangible tension. "He's on my property, Karen," I said, my voice low and even, trying to keep the peace I knew was already lost. "And he's trying to get into my pool. Again." She planted her hands on her hips, her eyes narrowing. "It's a hot day, and he just wanted to cool off. Why are you being so selfish? It's just a pool. Everyone uses it." My jaw tightened. "Everyone doesn't use it, Karen. This is my property. And I've asked you and Liam not to come over here at least 3 times. That's why I got the lock." Her face, already flushed with indignation, deepened to a shade of crimson that made my blood run cold. She took a dramatic step back, gesturing wildly at her son. "Liam, get out your phone. Call 911. Tell them there's a crazy person on the loose and you're being threatened." My eyes widened. Did she just seriously tell her child to misuse emergency services? The sheer audacity took my breath away. Liam, his face now a strange mix of fear and excitement, fumbled for his phone, his little fingers a blur of motion. I felt my chest tighten, a silent gasp. This was a new level of entitlement, a whole new depth of crazy I hadn't prepared for. "Karen, don't," I pleaded, but it was too late. He was already speaking into the phone, his voice a reedy, nervous pitch. "My neighbor. She's threatening me and won't let me use the pool, and she's being mean." He finished the call and looked at his mom with wide, proud eyes, as if he'd just won the lottery. A few minutes later, the unmistakable sound of sirens filled the quiet suburban street, a chilling melody that made the birds in the trees go silent. 2 patrol cars pulled up, and 2 officers, their faces unreadable, stepped out. One was a tall, stern man, the other a younger woman with an equally serious expression. "Ma'am, we got a call about a domestic disturbance and trespassing," the tall officer said, looking at me. "Is everything all right?" Karen immediately took over, a torrent of half-truths and emotional manipulation pouring out of her mouth. She painted a picture of me as the aggressor, a cold, unfeeling neighbor who had denied a poor boy a simple swim on a hot day. She locked the gate. He was just trying to get in. And then she yelled at him and he got scared. So he called for help. The officer listened patiently, his gaze occasionally flicking to my face. When she finally paused to take a breath, I spoke, my voice surprisingly steady. "Officer, this is my property. I have a no trespassing sign clearly posted on the fence. I put this lock on the gate 3 days ago after I caught her and her son using my pool without permission. For the 3rd time, I asked them to stop. He then climbed the fence anyway. And when I confronted him, his mother told him to call 911 and lie about being threatened." I gestured to the pristine, untouched gate. "You can check the lock. It's brand new." The only person who had to climb over was her son. The female officer stepped forward, her gaze now fixed on Liam. "Son, did you climb over the fence even though you knew it was locked and the gate was locked and you were told not to go there?" He hesitated, glancing at his mother, who glared at him. Yes? Karen's eyes went wide. No. Liam, don't lie. She shrieked. But the damage was done. The tall officer held up a hand. Ma'am, your son has admitted to criminal trespass. He was on private property without permission, and you encouraged him to do so after he was explicitly told to stay off. Furthermore, you instructed him to misuse emergency services for a non-emergency. That's a serious charge. Karen's face was a masterpiece of disbelief and outrage. You can't do that. He's just a child. He didn't know. The officer's voice was firm. He's old enough to know the difference between private and public property. And you're old enough to know better. Your son is being taken into custody for criminal trespass. And you'll be receiving a citation for encouraging the misuse of emergency services. This isn't a game, ma'am. These calls take resources away from real emergencies. My jaw dropped as I watched the tall officer pull out a pair of small handcuffs and snap them around Liam's tiny wrists. The boy, his face now pale and tear-streaked, looked up at his mother, his pride gone. Karen's screech of protest echoed down the street as they led him to the patrol car, a bitter symphony of rage and defeat. The car door shut with a final, metallic thud. The officers drove away, leaving a gaping silence in their wake. I stood there for a long time, the scent of fresh cut grass and hot asphalt filling my lungs, watching Karen melt down in her front yard. A profound peace washed over me. It's an uncomfortable truth, but sometimes, the only way to teach a lesson is to let justice take its course. To stand your ground and lock the gate, even when it feels like you're locking out the world. Sometimes, the only thing that works is to let karma slam the door.